Has the current state of the economy made it hard for you to cover your bills? I'm going to give you 5 ways to start making more money, and I want you to think of money as margin. Might surprise you what I'm going to tell you. Let's go. Helping you win in your work life so that you are winning in other areas of your life. I'm Ken, part coach, part counselor, part cheerleader. 78% of all Americans are now living paycheck to paycheck. That includes a whole bunch of 6-figure earners. It's fascinating to me. 92% of middle-income Americans, this is between $50,000 to $100,000, reported being somewhat or very worried about higher prices of goods and services. This despite the fact that inflation fell to 4% in May as compared to 4.93% last month and 8.6% the same time last year. So that's good news. We're all feeling the pinch of higher prices. I was ranting and raving recently on the Ramsey Show with my colleague George Camel. Both of us sounded like cranky old men about all of the tip requests that we're getting. I went and ordered a coffee at the coffee shop the other day. The kid turned around the iPad and basically begged me to tip him. Oh, no, thanks. We've reached the tipping point, folks. People are just going, it's too much. And you're starting to get worried with people talking about the recession looming and are we in a recession now? And so a lot of people worried about money. I understand that. On top of the data I just gave you, credit card debt is at an all-time high. I feel like this just changes every month. It's like the guy who keeps resetting the Guinness Book of World Record. He owns the record 17 straight times. And I think that's what we're doing with credit card debt. It just keeps going higher and higher and higher. It's not going to stop. In the last 3 months of 2022, credit card balances in the United States rose from $61 billion to nearly $990 billion, according to the Federal Reserve Bank. Now, why is this happening? One, because credit cards have been a part of our life, just normalized. They have the best commercials. It's just considered normal to have it as a safety net. People go beyond having it as a safety net and they turn it into a salve for their soul. Feeling bad about something, they're going to go buy something. I didn't get a raise this year. I want to go on a nice vacation. Fine, we'll put it on the Amex card. More and more people are using credit cards for the monthly deficit. We're not even talking about the big, silly purchases that are emotional. We're talking about there's a shortfall in their budget, or they don't have one, but there's a shortfall when it comes to everything they owe versus what they're making every month, and they are putting it on credit cards. I'll just deal with it later. Well, when you're talking about 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26% interest rates on these credit cards, it's devastating. Then we saw people in the pandemic realize that there was an opportunity to strike gold. In their mind, it was people are getting paid more. So what did we see? We saw people change jobs by the tens and tens of millions between 2021 and 2022. North of 70 million people changed jobs. Not all the time for money, but certainly getting a lot of pay bumps. We saw the percentage of people getting paid more, less from promotions internally, but from external jobs that they went and got. But what happened? Did we save more or did we spend more? The answer is we spent more. When you, the people, as a consumer, get a raise and you don't pocket the difference in savings, but you go out and spend it, you are contributing to the demand. And this is old elementary school. You should have learned it maybe late elementary school. Maybe some of you never learned it, but just basic supply demand. And so we saw coming out of the pandemic, or certainly the first year of the pandemic in 2020, depending on who you are and where you come from, what you believe about the whole pandemic. But in 2021, 2022, we saw increases in wages, and then we also saw consumer spending stay at a high level. That creates demand. So prices go up. The other reason that prices went up and are still relatively high is because of the wage pressures. People get paid more. Most of these companies don't go, well, I tell you what, we're not going to sock it to the customer. We want to keep our profit margins really nice and fat. Some of them said, hey, the demand is there. Let's go. We raise prices. Good old-fashioned capitalism. It's their prerogative. You as the customer get to decide whether or not you like the price increase. I think what we're seeing more and more is that the American people just go, well, it sucks that you raise prices, but you know what? We're going to pay it anyway. And so there's no penalty when the companies raise prices. But if we stayed home for 3 months and never went out to eat, that would stink for restaurant owners. That's not something I'm suggesting we do, but it would dramatically reduce prices. Why? Because you reduce demand. So one way or another, all of us are feeling the pinch that inflation has brought us. Tuition is up. Everything's up. Goods and services are up. Vacations are up. Everything's up. Used cars are still up. Everything's up. And so it has created a more than usual angst around money. So answer this question. Is more money going to fix the problems that you are associating with money? I wish I had the Jeopardy music. Right? Here's the point. Have you considered it? Or are you just looking at the pain that you believe that money will fix? I would suggest to you that more money isn't going to fix anything. There are some temporary fixes, but you getting control of money, creating more margin in your life is up to you. So to this point, what does money do for us if we actually manage it well? What does it actually do? Bueller? What's the answer? It gives us margin. Money, at the end of the day, if you just look at fundamentally, what does more money do if I manage it well? What does it do for me? It gives me margin. Just gives me space, peace, freedom. That's what margin leads to, peace and freedom. Because you can then say, look, the more money I have, the more money I keep. This is the key. The more money I keep is where margin comes in. See, if I get more and more money, but I keep spending, then you're like a lot of people right now that are going, this is not fair. I should be paid based on inflation. No, you shouldn't. So, if money gives us margin, what are 5 ways to increase our margin with money? I'm going to tell you next. Helping you get unstuck so that you can move forward towards the life that you have always wanted to lead. I'm Ken. This is the Ken Coleman Show. If you're enjoying this show on YouTube, it's helping you, encouraging you, equipping you to move forward. it would just be the best if you would consider spreading the word. That's how we grow in this YouTube jungle, right? A lot of videos out there. And so if you like the video that you're watching, give us a like with that thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, and then share a video that you think might encourage somebody else. And then if you're listening via the podcast, would you give us a follow and a 5-star review and share? We don't want any ugly reviews. My goodness, why would you leave an ugly review? Just never come back. Thank you very much. All right. So if money gives us margin, how do we get more margin with money? That's the question. Because I think everybody's initial thought when it comes to I need more money, which I love, is I got to go to work. That's right. And I got to make more money. And that's a part of it. But it's not the full formula. So there are 5 ways to create more margin with your money. Number 1, change your lifestyle. Change your lifestyle. This is the one that least the least amount of people think of. All right, so money's a little tight. I got to go work. I got to go make more money. I got to do this. I got to do that. Wait. How about changing your lifestyle? Now, what does that look like? I mean, first, cutting expenses. So we start looking at all the things that we're subscribed to. What does that add up to? We eat out over here. This is what our normal grocery budget is. Changing your lifestyle is essentially getting out the metaphorical scissors and going, where can I cut in my life? Where can I cut? What can I change about how I am living my life that will reduce expenses for me? In fact, I mentioned this one first because I think it actually should be the first part of the process. If you want to get more margin with money in your life, start with where can I save by cutting? Where can I save by cutting? It's a great way to start. Look at it this way. Let's just say that things are tight for you. You're in this boat, and if you're single or if you're in a relationship, you get together with whoever and you say, okay, let's cut. We get out the metaphorical scissors. We cut. And let's say, in this example, we cut $300 a month out of our expenses. Times 12 months of the year, you saved $3,600 that you had previously been spending. The way I look at that is you just gave yourself an almost $4,000 raise. I mean, it's just that simple, but you've got to look at it that way. Well, it sucks, Ken. It's painful. I don't want to get rid of Netflix, and I don't want to get rid of Apple TV, and I don't want to do this, and I don't want to do that. I get it, but you want a raise. How can you give yourself a raise? One is by cutting expenses, by changing my lifestyle. Second, how about working hard to get promoted? Get promoted. What do you got to do? What do you got to do to get promoted? What would life look like in the office every day if you went in and you said, I'm going to do a really good job and I'm going to make sure that I'm completely focused on doing what they expect of me. However, I'm also going to go above and beyond. I'm going to learn some new things, do some things, serve in a different way. I'm going to speak up, raise my hand. I'm going to do everything in my power to get promoted. That's a way to get more income. Third, second, third jobs. Temporary, yes. Going to be exhausting? Yes. Inconvenient? Yes. Is it very possible? Yes. So many gig economy jobs right now where you can take your car, you're delivering, you're driving. We know all that. But then there's picking up 5, 10, 15, 20 hours a week in an hourly job where you could make as much as $15, $20 an hour or more. That's real income. For a season, yes. Telling the wife and kids, sorry, I'll be around in 3 months, but for the next 3 months, I'm going to go make an additional 7, 8, 10 grand. This is a choice. Now, understand if I'm going to go out and I'm going to work extra jobs and spend that extra time and hustle and sacrifice, I better make that count. So that's going to go to debt elimination, which again, reduces my expenses, gives me a raise. Or it's going to go into helping us make some big lifestyle changes. Paying down the house, boom, big raise. Okay? Next, start a long-term side hustle, something that you will stick with, that you've always wanted to do, and you've had other priorities going on, but now you go, you know what, I can start this in a small way, I can get it going, and I can begin to make a couple $100 a month. I think if I stick with it, that's going to go to $1,000 a month. $2,000 to $3,000 a month is possible in the first year, and this is something that I can keep going, and then when the time is right, or the company dictates itself to me, that I can scale it and go full time. So this is something you've always wanted to do. We're going to start small, grow slow, so that we keep our risk minimal to none, and we've got the opportunity to actually make money. Fifth, you change jobs. If you have hit a lid, like you realize, I've raised my hand, I've done everything that I could possibly do. My current company is not going to give me a raise. I'm not going to get promoted. Maybe they can't. Maybe they're not in a good fiscal situation to be able to do so. Maybe they don't see the value in you. Whatever it is, don't make excuses. Don't gripe about it. Just move on. And the way that most people increase their income is this fifth and final way, which is I'm going to change companies. My caution to that is this. If you change jobs simply for a bump that you cannot get where you are currently, but there is an opportunity to stay and be patient. Now, this is in the situation where, again, they do value you. There is an opportunity for a raise down the line. Or you just really love the work and you love the people, and it's just going to take a little bit of time, and there's just this large incremental raise is just not baked into the deal. All of these factors, I'm trying to give you the full look here. But if you leave for a 5, 6, 7, 10% raise, 12% raise, and you get that extra money, but the money wears off because you don't like the work and you don't like the culture, you're going to be like millions of Americans that did this very thing in the Great Resignation, and then they wanted to go back. They then termed these people as dealing with the Great Regret. Great Resignation led to the Great Regret. So be careful. I like the other 4 options. First, quick review, 5 ways to get more margin with money. 1, I'm going to cut my expenses through lifestyle changes. 2, I'm going to work on getting a promotion. 3, I'm going to get a temporary second job. 4, and I combine these 2, get a temporary second job and then start the long-term hustle and then change jobs. So this is how we get more margin. Now, all of these things will work, but the natural proclivity of human beings is when we get more money, we want to go, ooh, let me spend some. And so when you are in a prolonged season of economic uncertainty, and that's what our economy looks and feels like right now. There's good news coming out every day, bad news coming out every day. The one thing that's been consistent, that's been an irritant and a real problem spot for most people is inflation. So when you're in a season like this, you've got to be disciplined when you go make more money to also go, wait a second, I'm going to save more. Now, why am I talking about this on a show about work life? Because if you've got financial stress, your financial life sucks, and your professional life doesn't, and your personal life doesn't, it's only a matter of time before the financial stress will start to affect your relational and professional life. Think about it. Skills or diplomas? That is the question. Skills or diplomas? What's more valuable? There's people on both sides of this aisle. You know where I'm leaning. If you've been watching or listening to this show, I'm always leaning towards skills. I think the diploma is nothing more than a certificate of achievement. Sorry, folks. Sorry, all you folks out there that get offended every time I say that. I'm going to keep saying it because it's only a matter of time before the rest of the world gets to this point. You take a person who has no diploma and a person who has a diploma, and at the end of the day, it's going to come down to skills. If the person with the diploma has got more skills, okay. But if the person who doesn't have the diploma's got more skills or has equal skill, then to me, it's all about effort and attitude. So there you go. Well, here's the reality. Skills are beginning to be more valuable than degrees, claims LinkedIn VP. This is a direct quote from Sue Duke, who is the vice president and head of global public policy at LinkedIn. This is a quote to CNBC. The difficulties we face as we struggle to fill roles, weather economic shifts, and create a diverse and resilient workforce will only grow unless we change our approach to finding and nurturing talent. She went on to say that skills-based hiring is becoming increasingly popular among businesses, with 45% of companies explicitly using skills-related metrics to find candidates according to LinkedIn data. That's 12% more than a year ago. So some of you going, okay, I understand the phrase, but what does it mean? What is skills-based hiring? It means they don't care about your degree. They literally go, do you have the skill? Do you have some experience in it? Come on. We'll sharpen you as you get in the door. They're not worried about the degree. They're just going, can you do it? In other words, can you do bookkeeping? Have you done bookkeeping? Yeah, okay, great. You don't need an accounting degree. We don't care. Come on over. Now, this is good news for a lot of people, except new college grads. Uh-oh. I went and spent 4 or 5 years. I spent tens and tens, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars, and companies are now hiring for skill, not diploma. Duke goes on to say, our research showed a skills-first approach could increase the global talent pool by nearly tenfold. You think? I think the number's higher. Now just think about that for a second. Skills-first approach could increase the talent pool. Are you kidding me? How many millions of Americans are sitting on the sideline right now, discouraged, willing to work, wanting to work, able to work, and they're not applying for jobs because for decades we've told them, if you don't have a degree, please don't apply. You're not good enough for us. It's true. It's true. That, by the way, that's what it says. When it says you must have a degree, it is saying you aren't good enough because we've attached a degree to a person's worth. It's nonsense. But don't take my opinion for it. What's happening in the real world of business? Thank you for asking. I'll tell you. It levels the playing field for workers who may have been overlooked. Duke said this includes people who have not attended or completed university, women or younger generations. By the way, this is having a profound impact on opportunities for minorities of all race and creed in the United States. Julia Pollack, who's the chief economist for my friends at ZipRecruiter, came on the show and we talked about this. It's opening up opportunities for lower income communities who didn't have the money to go to college, but they have the raw talent that can be trained to have the skill. Now, what's happening? You got big four accounting firms, Deloitte, PwC, KPMG, three of the four. They are all reportedly offering new hires various introductory training classes. We're talking big time accounting firms are going, we'll get you in. Have you got the raw talent? We'll train you on the skill. What is KPMG offering? Their introductory training includes how to talk to people in person with tips on appropriate level of eye contact and pauses in a conversation. Now, why are you doing that? They're doing that for some college grads who went to college but have spent the better part of their life staring at a screen and texting people. They don't know how to write an email. They're email training classes. I don't think this is such a bad thing. It'd be great if the new generation just said, we don't know how to write emails, so we're going to stop writing emails, because I think emails are the death knell of productivity. Emails are the greatest source of stress in the workplace. Got to get my inbox completely finished before the end of the day. Good grief. Well, I know that always irritates some people who love email, but I just challenge you to think about what I just said. If you're stressed out about your inbox being completed, are we focusing on the right things? Are we communicating in the best way? I don't know. I never remember pre-email going, I hope I had every conversation that I needed to have today. That never crossed my mind. Now, Gen Z is starting to take a lot of these courses. Companies are saying, look, we got new grads coming out. We got to train them. This is also bleeding over into what I was saying earlier, a lot of workers that previously weren't being welcomed. No degree required is a new theme, and it's good. Each generation faces some sort of challenge coming into the workforce. So, I'm not beating up on Gen Z. I'm raising 3 Gen Z right now. I love them. I love millennials. All right, I'm not coming at this from this crotchety old man point of view. What I'm saying is every generation has its own unique challenges when you go in the workforce. I remember for me, it was simple stuff like we had to learn Microsoft Office. Like that didn't exist. They weren't teaching you that per se in college. And so you had to learn how to work with Excel. So that's okay. But what's brilliant and what I'm seeing as a great trend in our work communities now is that companies are starting to realize the litmus test of a college degree, it's not relevant. It's not relevant. I'm having to teach kids that are graduating from college how to write an email, for heaven's sakes, how to have a conversation. So why don't we go get somebody who's, let's say, 35, 36, 38, been a stay-at-home mom, maybe never held down a corporate job, but she knows how to have a conversation. She knows how to write an email. She knows how to organize little humans and get them to all the places they need to be in. Why don't we go get that mom? Hey, here's one. Why don't we go get that person that was arrested for some misdemeanor or some substance, and they paid their time, they've turned their life around, and the only difference between them and you, hiring manager, is you didn't get caught driving home with a little extra in your system, if you know what I'm saying. These are not bad people. They're not violent criminals. They're people that have gone to jail for making poor choices because they grew up in a poor environment. But they've turned their life around, and maybe a full turnaround is you looking at them and saying, hey, you paid your debt to society. Why should you not be allowed to work? You did your time. The judge said, serve this. You served it. We're going to believe in you. We're going to hold you accountable in some areas because of your past. But we're not going to judge you. We're going to give you a shot. Maybe that would widen the talent pool as well. So here's the good news. Why do I share this? The days of you don't have a college degree, so in order to get into the workforce or pivot in the workforce, you got to go to school and get a degree. Those days are fleeting and fleeting fast. They're leaving the train station. This right here is more evidence that the playing field has been leveled. If you want to work, your opportunity is better than it's ever been before. All right, companies realize that more and more Americans are burned out, stressed out. The mental health has become the flag of our modern day world. Mental health this, mental health that. I get it. It's important. But how much of this is mental health versus leaders not creating a great environment? And we just got people that need a break. We got people who need to be led better. I mean, seriously, what's the difference? What are the levels of mental health, right? Is mental sickness versus I'm just stressed out of my mind. I mean, it's a big conversation. Companies are aware of it. It's become a thing. People talk about it. They throw the phrase around mental health all the time. All right. So what are companies doing about it? Well, they're trying to keep people. And so they go, we got to do something about their mental health. And I don't disagree. But what they're doing in some cases feels misguided. In other ways, it feels like, okay, we're on the right track. Let me lay it out for you. This is a Wall Street Journal article I've got here in my hands. And the article reports that more companies are carving out extra personal days for workers. Now, this is not for doctor's appointment, or maybe your kids have a medical procedure, your dog's having surgery. I mean, things that, are way heavily on our minds and our hearts, but are not necessarily personal in nature. But this is just like a personal day. So this is just, you can have a personal day. If you got to go do the other things, that's good too. But they're just giving people more and more personal days. So the decision to do more of this is because executives are saying we're concerned about employees' mental health. Now they're also offering company-wide mental health days. And I was talking about this recently on the show. The new trend is a respite room. Most people never even use the word respite in a sentence. What's a respite room? A quiet room where you can quiet your mind, recover from a stressful meeting, whatever. The point I've made on the respite room is it's an attempt to put a Band-Aid on a problem that actually needs to be operated on and fixed. It's the equivalent of your arm is sore, we're going to put you in a sling to help with the movement and the pain. But what really needs to happen is they got to dive in, do an MRI on the arm, figure out what's wrong. And if we need to operate, we go in and we fix it. So this respite room, these personal days, these are slings. These are air casts designed to provide temporary relief of pain. That's all they are. Is it a nice gesture? Sure. Does it come from a good place? Sure. But good leadership is going to say, if we've got a problem in our company, XYZ, where we're seeing more and more updates and reports of people being stressed out of their mind to where we've got to come up with a respite room, maybe what we should do is get our leaders in the room after they've talked to their team and say, why are you so stressed out that you need a respite room? It's not their fault. It's your fault, leader. You've created the environment to where they got to have a quiet room to calm down, to overcome being overwhelmed. That's your fault, leader. Here's what we need. We need leaders that are aware. We need leaders that are relational, and we need leaders that are compassionate. Leaders, if you have a person on your team that is hyperventilating at home, just trying to make it through the day, and you don't know about it, that's on you. But you say, well, Ken, they didn't tell me. I can't read their mind. You don't have to read their mind. You got to talk to them. You got to check in with them. You got to pay enough attention to know, you know what? I just looked at your workload. Your workload is nuts. If I just stop for 1 second, and I know leaders are overwhelmed too, but that's not an excuse to not lead well. But instead of creating a respite room for people, just so they can try to make it through the day and go right back to their desk and deal with the same crap, and so the respite room time did nothing for them at all. Why don't you create an environment? based on your awareness, your relational connection with the team, so you know what's going on in their lives, and then you can act compassionately and create a team environment, a culture where people don't need respite rooms and a ton of personal days. Wake up. You were created to fill a unique role in your work. That means you are needed, you're very valuable, and that means you must do it. There's a responsibility for you to show up and be the best of you, not just for a better paycheck, but for the contribution that you'll see that you've made in the lives of others, and that's where meaning and significance really takes hold. And so if you go, Ken, I agree with that statement, but I don't know how to figure out what that unique role is, don't worry about it. I created an assessment called the Get Clear Assessment. And it measures 3 elements of your unique combination. And it allows you to see ideas, roles, and a future. It's going to measure talent, what you do very well, passion, the work that you love to do, and mission, what motivates you, what results actually get you fired up to get out of bed. It put all of those details into an awesome purpose statement that gives you alignment and direction and confidence. It's called the Get Clear Assessment. Go get it at kencoleman.com/assessment. Shauna is up in Carrollton, Illinois. Shauna, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken.
Hi.
So I am 45 years old, and I recently sold my business, and I'm trying to determine if I need a new career, and if the answer to that is yes, if it would be wise for me to go back to school.
Okay. So fill in the details for me. What was the business that you sold?
So it was an ice cream shop,
Nice.
and I had it for about 10 years. Before that, I was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay. Awesome.
And
Why'd you sell?
I had one of my employees interested, and I was recently diagnosed with a chronic illness that was
I'm
making
sorry.
it more difficult to run the business.
Okay.
So it seemed like a good time and a good opportunity to sell
Sure.
at that time.
Yeah, makes good sense. What are you thinking about now? Because I just think the way you set that up, you've got an idea or two that you're calling to get a little feedback on. Am I right?
Kind of. I mean,
Give me the
I am-
kinda version.
Well, okay. So I do instruct yoga classes,
Okay.
but that's only a couple hours a week. So I
Okay.
do that. And I am a new grandma, so I do try
Yay.
to be available
Yeah.
to twins. And, I really don't know if I guess I felt like maybe a degree would be necessary, since I only have an associate's degree, to make it worth my while to be at work, to make enough of an income to,
What would the degree be in?
I don't know. That's the part I'm not sure of. And I
Well,
don't
you
even
know
know
why?
if that's necessary.
It's not necessary yet. And the reason it's not necessary is because you don't have a alternative or an idea that requires a degree. Now, if you want to be a part-time yoga instructor and a part-time grandmama loving on those sweet grandbabies, then you can just keep doing what you're doing. And over time, I think your hours will increase probably as much
Yeah.
as you want to. May not be in the
Yeah, that's
current
true.
places you go to, but somewhere else. And, people change, life changes. But if you really enjoy yoga personally, my guess is it's been helping you physically and probably mentally and emotionally.
Yes.
You don't need a full-time job. I'm not hearing that. Am I right?
Right. No, my husband has a full-time job, and I guess I feel like I just want to contribute some.
Good.
Because
Okay,
since
now
I'm only
that's
45, I've got
okay. Gotcha.
some time to
All right. How
still
much
work.
do you want to contribute? I think you've got this attached to a number. Am I right?
Yeah, I think so. I
How
think you're
much?
right.
How much?
I, gosh, I don't know if I have a dollar amount, but I know it would just not necessarily be a full-time amount. Like it would maybe be um, just a part-time wage. Really, even just, I mean, gosh, even if I only made 15,000 a year, I think I would be contributing. That would be worth something.
Fantastic. All right. So, how many hours a week are you doing yoga instructing?
Just 2 hours a week right now.
And what are they paying you per hour?
$17.
That's pretty good.
It is good.
So, how
And
many
it
hours?
happens to be at my husband's place of employment, which is great.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah, it is.
So, how many hours would you want to pick up ideally if you could control
Um,
it?
I I could definitely increase it to probably, I mean, at least 4 hours a week comfortably, and still have like time for all the things that I enjoy. Um, I think the one part of the equation that I should mention that is I really am interested in nutrition, and I guess that's why I kind of felt like maybe a degree was
Ah,
necessary,
okay.
because you can't really do much with nutrition without some sort of certification, and it kind of goes along with the chronic illness and the yoga. It all is something that's benefited me a lot, so I want to just help
I like
others.
this. I like this. But let me challenge you with something. And I'm
Okay.
being your friend here, but let me challenge you. When I
Okay.
asked you how many more hours you'd like to add, what would your total hours be? You gave me from a from a starting point of 2 to 4 hours so that I could be available for my grandbabies. So here's my
Yeah.
point. There's no wrong answer here. That's your answer because that's what you want. So
Yeah.
you can't do a nutrition gig
Yeah.
full like a 15-hour or 20-hour a week that would require a degree. But now
True.
could you be a reseller of or a salesperson like a independent contractor for a great nutrition company based
Oh,
on some stuff that you take that really have helped you in your chronic illness?
never thought
Shh.
of that.
I know. It's why you call me. It's why I'm
That's what I
here.
called.
Yeah, listen,
Yeah,
because to
exactly.
me, I go, all right, let's say you increase the yoga instructing to 4 hours a week. We're talking a week or a day. A week. That's what I thought. So
Yeah.
you don't have margin for anything that would require a degree. So we've established that. So now you go, all right,
Okay.
what supplements do I take? What
Yeah.
meals? What do I use? What has worked for me?
Yeah.
Or I start doing some research and I get super excited about some nutritional supplements or programs or whatever. And so when
Yeah.
I'm doing my yoga instructing, I tell them about this. And if I can resell, or I'm again an independent agent, I make a little extra money just through my network. I start sharing this stuff on social media and I sell it there. I'm making some fun little money, a little fun spending money, and I'm saving it up. And I'm going to
Yeah.
surprise my husband, and I'm going to pay for a cruise with my
Yeah.
yoga and supplement stuff just for fun. I mean, I think
I,
that's the season of life you're in.
yeah, I think you're right. And I think I just maybe was feeling like, I guess I needed to hear that it's okay to not jump into like a full-time career now. Um,
Yes.
because of everything that I have going on, it does make it difficult to do like I used to be able to do.
Yeah.
And I guess I just needed to know that it's okay to just adjust my season and
You just gave
go
great
by that.
advice. You just gave great advice to yourself, and I think a lot of women and even men that are listening in here today.
Really?
Yeah. You just said it's okay to adjust to the season of life I'm in now. That's the gold. You,
Yeah. I don't know why it took me calling in to
well, because you just need to
discover that,
talk,
but
because you just need to talk to
yeah,
somebody, and I'm
yeah,
happy to be the bartender today.
yeah,
Here's
for
the deal.
sure.
That I couldn't have given any better advice than you just gave. You just gave great advice.
Wow.
It's okay to adjust my lifestyle to the season that I'm in now. Period.
Great.
And you're going to love it. Because here's the deal. Let's say the Hubs takes a pay cut down the road. We don't wish any of that, but you can always jump back in and work. But the reality is, I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I also know that your current schedule gives you the best chance to be healthy
Yeah.
physically and emotionally. Those grandbabies plus yoga, that's a good day for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, did you see how you responded to that? I mean, if you go lead a yoga class and all the physical and the mental and emotional, then the relationship with the ladies in that class or whatever, and then you go and you see your grandbabies, and then that's it for the day. I'm hanging it up once I leave the grandbabies or they come back to our house. That's a good day.
It is.
Well, that's a good life.
It's a dream.
It's a good life.
It is.
And you don't need my permission to live that life.
Right.
So go do it.
Okay.
Shauna,
Awesome.
Shauna, you're awesome. So happy for you. Thank you for letting me just be a little bit a part of that. I love when I see the light bulb go off, folks. It's your life. You got one of them. You better live it the way that you want to live it. This is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.
Thanks for listening to the Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.